All right, good evening, everybody. As we have all of our participants trickle in, it is 8 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here. Welcome to another one of Future Peds Res webinars for the Peds Match 2025 cycle. We are so happy to have you with us here tonight. If this is your first webinar, again, we're so happy that you're here and hope that you learned something from tonight. And if this is a webinar that you're returning to, thanks so much for being a part of this journey with us and for your participation so far. We really appreciate it. All right. My name is Caroline. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fourth year at Penn State College of Medicine, and I am proudly serving as one of your co-directors for the Future Peds Res organization for this year. And I work very closely with Stephanie Maeda. Her pronouns are also she, her, and she's a fourth year at Western University of Health Sciences. She's unable to make it this evening, but we really appreciate all of the work that she has put in as one of the co-directors for the organization this year. And before we start, we would like to acknowledge our APPD faculty advisor, Dr. Michael Dell, who is the Vice Chair of Education at Case Western Reserve University of Medicine, as well as Colleen Hughes, who is the Associate Executive Director for APPD. We would also like to acknowledge our ComCep faculty advisor, Dr. Rachel Thompson, who is the Assistant Professor of Pediatrics and Director of Pediatric Undergraduate Medical Education at the Boston University Chobanian and Avedisian School of Medicine. These individuals have made tonight possible, and we are extremely grateful for their support. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Assistant Directors of Webinars for the Midwest region, who will be kicking us off tonight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Geiger. My pronouns are she and they, and I'm a fourth year medical student at Des Moines University in Iowa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria Morrill. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm also a fourth year medical student at Rosalind Franklin Chicago Medical School.
And we would like to introduce our Future Peds Resident Webinar Associate Director working hard behind the scenes tonight, Sheena.
Hi everyone, my name is Sheena Bedi. I am an international medical graduate from D.Y. Patil Medical College, India, and I'm serving as the Associate Director of Webinars for FPR this season.
And now let's delve into our goals for the night.
So again, welcome to everyone joining us tonight. We're so excited to have everyone at the Midwest Regional Medium Size Programs webinar, and we're very grateful to all the program directors and assistants, as well as coordinators and residents who have taken time out of their busy schedule to join us. So our series goals for this regional webinars are providing pediatric residency applicants with foundational knowledge surrounding the virtual interview season, well-rounded insight into the benefits of programs by region, and then devoted time for a live Q&A. So we will be transitioning to our breakout rooms shortly. We'll have 2 of them. In each room, applicants will be able to learn about some of the programs and ask questions near the end. All the breakout rooms are recorded, so if you're interested in learning about the other programs that are not in your own breakout room, you can always check our YouTube page later for the recordings. But before we move on, we would like to have the APPD representative of the Midwest region, Dr. Lewis, she'll give us a little quick overview of some of the states that are included in the Midwest region, and just some interesting stuff about the Midwest in general. So Dr. Lewis, go ahead and take it over.
Great. Thanks, Victoria. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Joanna Lewis. I am the Pediatric Residency Program Director at Advocate Children's Hospital in Park Ridge, Illinois, outside of Chicago. I am coming to you in this role, though, as chair of the Residency Recruitment Action Team. That is a working group between APPD and ComCep, where we partner tons with Future Peds Res and are really grateful to be able to help them help all of you make decisions regarding the residency program process. One thing about peds, I always say we're like a total love fest. So you are surrounded today by amazing program directors and chief residents and APDs and coordinators representing lots of incredible programs. So you can see the Midwest region is large, large and in charge, as we like to say. I usually wear my Midwest is Best t-shirt today, but that did not come out tonight. So you can see we represent Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin. So we even have some different time zones represented here, which is exciting. We know that this also represents multiple areas of overlap for the geographic preferencing choices that you have when you're doing your applications, which we know brings about some stress for all of you. So we're hoping to reduce that for you tonight. I think being in the Midwest, there's lots of medical schools here and lots of great programs to choose from. So we're known as being like a nice, friendly place where you can really get to know people with a lot of diversity in the type of patients that you can take care of, which is helpful, close proximity to travel either east or west, north or south, if that is where your family or loved ones are. But just so many really wonderful programs in which to train. There are many programs represented tonight, but surely not all of the programs that are medium-sized in the Midwest region are able to be represented. So when you're looking at residency programs, you'll have the slides and the information for all of ours, but looking at all of the programs, I think, is always to your advantage. Just a little bit about what makes a medium-sized residency program. So technically, medium-sized programs have 30 to 60 total residents. So that's really between 10 and 20 residents per class, if you're thinking about that. We obviously all think medium-sized programs are amazing because we direct them, but it is this really nice happy medium between the small and the big. So most of us will tell you that we pride ourselves on the relationships that can develop amongst the residents and the faculty. We're in the Midwest, so we're all super approachable also, which is wonderful. But really, there's places where there are fellows and there are places where there are not fellows, where there's fellows in some specialties and not others. And so you really get to know the attendings that you work with. And there's enough people in a medium-sized program. I think most people think that you're able to find like those people that you connect with, but everybody is not always with everyone all the time. So there's a lot of variability there. I think in PEDS, we're all innovators. In these Midwest programs, we collaborate a lot through APPD, through our regions, to really think about how we continue to move pediatric education forward and think about what's best for learners. I would say what all of us want at the end of the day is what's best for children. And so that's the reason that we're here, is because if you go through this process and you find the place that's going to be the best match for you to train, then that's what's best for kids. And that's why we want to help you all make the best decisions and get to know us as much as possible. With that being said, what I want to remind you on behalf of all of us going into the process is there is no wrong decision. Like I said, these are all really great programs. So just really thinking about where, you seem to fit and what type of program is the right one for you. Victoria, you want anything more from me for that, or Anna, or we're good?
You're good. Thank you so
Great.
much for
Of
that,
course.
for telling us about all the Midwest has to offer. Attendees, please take a moment to pull out your phones and you can snap a picture of the screen so you can easily refer back when bouncing around between breakout rooms. This slide will also remain in the main room during the entire webinar. We're going to be going into our breakout rooms now throughout the webinar. You can ask questions using the chat box on Zoom, and program directors, you're encouraged to also answer those chats or questions in the chat. You can also amplify insights or what you have learned from the webinar on Twitter using hashtag FPRWebinar and hashtag PedsMatch2025. So now we're going to give everyone a few minutes to join their respective breakout rooms.
And their different paths in life. We have 13 categorical residents in each year, and we have 2 child neurology residents. So we have a total of 43 residents each year. We have a very heavy elective schedule, so plenty opportunity for electives, and really pride ourselves on offering residents the full gamut of all Mayo Clinic has to offer. So residents can choose to stay within pediatrics for all of their electives and do kind of traditional clinical electives, but they can also have access to, electives outside of the typical. So research electives in artificial intelligence, in quality improvement, in all sorts. And we really pride ourselves on developing and helping develop rounded pediatricians, no matter their interest. We have people who are interested in primary care. So for instance, Chandler is one of our third years, and she has been mentored very thoughtfully by one of our rural primary care pediatricians who's in our health system, who is a graduate of ours. We have Cody, who wants to do hematology oncology and is going to spend several months working in a lab during his second year. We have Tamini, who is interested in cardiology and has taken opportunities to work in various cardiology electives, both in Rochester and also in Phoenix, where our residents can do electives. So really, we pride ourselves on helping residents find their path, whatever that path is going to be. We work on a 13 block system. This year we are going to X+Y, so every other rotation will be inpatient, every other obviously outpatient clinic, continuity clinic only on the outpatient side, and really big new push for coaching program, which is new, which has come from the residents, and really just trying to be responsive to resident requests as they come in. I am going to hand over to Megan, who will round this out in a less sleep-deprived way, maybe.
Hello, so my name is Megan Thorwaldson. My pronouns are she and her. And as Dr. Pittock mentioned, one of the APDs for the program. And one of the things that I like to highlight is what life is like in the city of Rochester. And I think there'll probably be common themes, but some of the things that we like in the Midwest is the experience of all 4 seasons. And there are ways to be able to enjoy those at each of the seasons. So cross-country skiing or snowshoeing in the winter, getting out on the trails, like we've got lots of green space, lots of proximity to state parks in the 3 other seasons. Just last week, went with my family to, it was called Smooth Summer Nights at one of our nurseries, like plant nursery, and got to see music and like food trucks and various drinks options, which was just a fun night to be able to embrace the summer. And then apple orchards are one of our favorite things in the fall, and there's one with super close to Rochester. So one of the things that we also like to do is residents get to know each other really well outside of the program, and so you'll often run into a group of them out doing trivia at a brewery, or I can't go to my favorite coffee shop. Well, and I wouldn't want to, but I always will see a resident at the coffee shop. And so I know that I will have sort of a friend or a mentor or a peer whenever I go out there. So grateful for this chance to be with you all. If you want to learn more about our program, we are having a open house on Tuesday, August 20th. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much to the both of you for telling us about your program. We'll give a few seconds just to allow anyone switching breakout rooms. And our next program is Western Michigan University. If your representative would like to unmute and tell us about your program.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you all and share the stage with our fellow Medium Midwest programs. I'm Kelly Brown, and I am the program director here at Western Michigan University. And we also have Dr. Erica Vanderkoy, who is our associate program director. She's joining us as well. And we're happy to share a little bit about our program today. As you can see, we're on the smaller side of the medium sized programs. So we accept 10 residents per year for a total class of 30. And we also have a Med-Peds program that joins us with 4 residents per year. So it's a really great group to join. And if you haven't heard, Kalamazoo is where we are. And Kalamazoo is a city that is about halfway between Chicago and Detroit, so equidistant between the two. So take a look at the map, take a look at the Michigan hand, and you'll find us there. But we have a really great group of residents. We, as many of the programs here, we use a holistic recruitment process. And so we're happy to have residents join us, of course, from Michigan and the Midwest, but also residents who join us from all across the United States and all across the world. And I think that that really brings a diverse and unique group of residents into the program and creates a family here, a family away from your original home. So we're very proud of that aspect of our program. Another thing I like to highlight is a few of the different kind of tracks or opportunities that we have. One is an advocacy track that we have recently developed through a grant from the AAP, and I know a lot of programs have this as well. But a lot of residents join the program with particular passions or interests around advocacy and issues that affect child health. And so that's something you can learn more about on our website, or we can talk more about, after the day today. The next you can see on the slide is something called the LEND certificate. So this is something that you automatically get as a resident here at WMed. It's a way that we structure our developmental and behavioral pediatric rotation, in which you get a chance to go out into the community and visit many different community organizations and other members of the interdisciplinary healthcare team who take care of our patients, right? So physical therapy, occupational therapy, mental health, the list is pretty much endless. But because of these hours that you spend in the community, you get this additional certification as part of your training here. And then the other thing that I'd like to highlight is also on the slide. It's called our MyDocs program. So I mentioned that we have 10 residency spots per year, and 8 of those spots are funded traditionally through the federal government, and 2 of the spots are funded through the state of Michigan, meaning that we have 2 different match numbers, and you can apply to both and rank both, and you can choose to participate in the MyDocs program if you have a particular passion around working with underserved populations. So choosing to be in the MyDocs spot means you have the same education, but you choose to stay in Michigan for 2 years following graduation from our program. And that is coupled with a significant amount of loan repayment. So you can see on the slide, $75,000 as it stands now. And we have had 8 residents participate in this program, and 3 of which are grads and have stayed locally, and 1 has joined our faculty. And it's been a really great thing for our program. And then in my last minute here, I'll echo what everyone said. Kalamazoo is a great community. We have 3 different colleges here. And so there are a lot of opportunities outside of work to also have fun and bond with your co-residents, to enjoy the outdoors, to get to know the area, get to know your co-residents, and have fun while you're not learning pediatrics in the hospital. So with that, I'll give you 30 seconds back and save some time for any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. Again, we'll wait just a few seconds to allow people to join. And our next program is St. Louis University. If your representative would like to unmute and tell us about your program.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Josh. I'm one of the current chief residents at St. Louis University. My co-chiefs Emily and Olivia are also on the call with us tonight. And we are excited to tell you about our program. We are on the upper end of a medium-sized program. We have 20 categorical pediatric residents a year, and then 2 pediatric neurology residents that join us as well. And we're in about a 200-bed hospital located in St. Louis, Missouri, which, if you're not familiar with the geography, is right along the Mississippi to the southwest of Chicago. We have about 20,000 primary care visits a year at our hospital, providing really excellent opportunities to learn to advocate for patients. And we see patients from a wide variety of socioeconomic backgrounds. Along with kind of our focus on primary care, we have some specific electives that help us focus on particular niches of primary care, including an advocacy tract, where we learn how to not only advocate for our patients in clinics, but we can also go to advocate for them on the legal end of things as well. We have parenting and breastfeeding electives that we can do. And then we've started our mental health blocks with the recent ACGME changes as well. More on the inpatient side of things, we have a really robust experience. We have the highest levels of NICU and PICU, and we are an ECMO certified hospital as well as a level 1 trauma center. We have ample opportunities to get exposure to fellowships, and we offer many fellowships as well in our center, including a new pediatric hospitalist fellowship program. One of the things that we're most excited for our program is that we are currently building a brand new children's hospital with an anticipated date of completion in 2027, which would include when these residents applying right now would be working. It's going to be a 14-story hospital with 200 beds and pretty much all the specialty care and NICU, PICU, ER situations that we would want to learn in. And we are very excited for that, and it'll be nice and shiny. Another focus that we're really working on in our program is to further develop resident wellness. We have a wellness committee that we've really started to focus on initiatives that we can do both inside and out of the hospital to make residents feel more supported and have opportunities to take breaks and breathe. So we have special noon conferences once a month where residents get to have protected time and enjoy some food or a speaker on some aspect of wellness. And then on top of that, we also finance outings so that residents can go in the community and have some time outside of work to relax and be together, including a book club that's been a big hit in our program. Speaking of St. Louis as a city, it is a really fun city with lots of things to explore. Probably the crowning jewel of places to go and things to do is called Forest Park, which is central in the city. It has an art museum, a science museum, a zoo, a history museum, and golf courses, and most of those things in the park, except for golfing, is free, and you could just walk in and enjoy those things. And then there's also an outdoor theater that puts on Broadway shows in the summer, and that's often where you will find many of our residents enjoying some time outside of work together. We love our program, we love this city, and if you have any questions, please direct them our way, and we'd love to help you learn more about our program.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. Again, we'll give a few seconds just for people to join. And our next program is Rush University Pediatrics.
Hi, I am Dr. Mary Louise Wilkerson, and I am the Associate Program Director, one of the three of us. The other one's not on this lovely pictogram, over at Rush University Medical Center, Rush University Children's Hospital. It's so wonderful to hear about all the things that the programs or the medium-sized programs are offering, and many of us offer variations or flavors of many of the same things. Welcome to X plus Y. We are now X plus Y plus Z, and now moving to our second iteration officially. So we are now 2 plus 4 plus 2, which we can tell you all about when you come to visit. The residents love it. I do think that it has really improved the general sense of wellness, where inpatient, you're able to focus on inpatient because you're not pulled away for other responsibilities. And in the outpatient world, you have a lot more flexibility in terms of the electives, and we're really proud of that. We pride ourselves as a primary care training ground, although I am pleasantly surprised every year that 50% for the last 5 years or more, I think it says on this list, actually end up going into fellowships, and very competitive fellowships from coming from a medium-sized program. We too have an advocacy track, a global health track that has been around since the inception of our PEDS program. We have a QI track as well and we don't have any restrictions on how many residents can do that. We are 11 categorical and 4 med peds for a total of 15 per year. And we are a children's hospital inside of an adult hospital, which is we love because we have access to all of the adult subspecialties, and it's really fun to coordinate and do. I saw somebody talked about interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and having partners from our adult world that come and help us manage a lot of our patients. We're a center that does a lot of craniectomies and seizure protocols, and we've done a few lobectomies. And so to have the adult world come and partner with our pediatric surgeons and do that together in the OR has been a lot of fun for our residents in terms of their learning. I think those are most of the highlights. I can tell you about the city of Chicago. Again, so many wonderful cities here. It is festival season, and Lollapalooza is next weekend. That's a busy time for us at Rush over on the west side of Chicago. So that will be a lot of fun. We pride ourselves on our community service. I think that is something that is really important to us, and you'll hear people talk about all the time, our community service initiatives and all the work we do on the west side of Chicago and with immigrant and refugee populations. And we serve a lot of the Salvation Army and the homeless shelter network throughout Chicago. And we're really proud of that, and the residents get a lot of extra time to do that. And then I mentioned the flexibility with the electives. So of course, I'm sure everybody feels like they could go on and on about their program, but I will give you a couple of minutes back too. And again, it is so nice to meet all of you, including all of the program directors and support staff from all the different programs. So.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wilkerson. It's great to hear about your program. And our next program is Advocate Children's Hospital Park Ridge. If your representative would like to unmute and tell us about your program.
Yes, hi, that's me. I'm Joanna Lewis. I'm the program director here at Advocate Children's Park Ridge. And Dr. Wilkerson and I went to high school together, so people never stray very far. I would love to talk to you about our program. We are right there in the middle of medium size. So we have 14 residents per year, so 42 total residents. One thing that we love, so many things about our program, obviously, but one thing we really love is that right now of our 42 residents, they come from 36 different medical schools. So really it is our goal to have a mix of DOs and MDs and students from international locations and from the United States. We think, just like Kelly was mentioning with her program, like it just really brings a great variety to our program. And we, similar to many that you've heard before, about 50% of our residents will go into primary care and about 50% will go into fellowships, and fellowships all over doing amazing things, which is always so exciting. We are also very connected to our community and serving the community around us. We serve a very diverse community, both socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds. One thing we're really proud of in Illinois is that we actually have a collaboration between all of us. So between Rush and Loyola and Advocate Children's in Oak Lawn and University of Chicago and University of Illinois and Lurie, we all work together on our community and advocacy rotations so that we are able to not put too much burden on all of our local community partners and actually really help as much as we can. So I think that's a really great thing about all of the Chicago programs. At our program, I also serve as the medical director for our mobile unit where we provide free medical care to kids all over the city and the suburbs. So our residents get a lot of exposure there. We actually haven't seen a patient in English for 9 months. So we're seeing all people that are newly arrived to the country on those vans. We also do X+Y scheduling. So this is, we'll be entering into year 7 of X+Y. So it has been really a wonderful journey for us and something that our residents really love. We also like to think about how people learn in different ways. So we do both academic half day and noon conference. So we have academic half days that occur during the Y weeks and then noon conference every day for everyone. And really try to get to that balance of inpatient, outpatient, and subspecialty training so that people are really ready to leave our program and hit the ground running, no matter what is the next phase of their careers. We are located just right outside the city, so like a 5-minute drive from the Chicago city limits. So our residents can live wherever they want. They can live in the city, they can live in the suburbs. It really depends what they like and what their partners or families are doing. We have a great relationship with our faculty, and we really want to focus on that graduated autonomy that comes during residency. So leading rounds, making decisions in the outpatient clinic, all of that. And obviously that opportunity for really great innovation in education, both thinking about individualized curricula and thinking just about how we look, at education in general. We are also a children's hospital within a hospital, and I think it makes for a wonderful opportunity. I get to really collaborate with the other program directors. So like the internal medicine program director, family medicine, OB, really learn a lot of things from them about how they are, what innovations they're doing in their program. And then also we can share patients between. So transitional care, when our patients are ready to move on to adult physicians, we know those residents really well, which is great. I don't know, I think you've heard all of the different things, and I love our residents. I think we are a great residency family. About half of our faculty trained in our program, at least 50%. So it's always nice to have some people that trained here and also some people that came from away. So I think that's about it for me. Thanks so much for having me. Oh,
Thank
and
you.
we're having 2 general open houses coming up. One on the 10th of September is a general virtual open house, and then one on the 17th of September is for residents who are underrepresented in medicine. So if that is how you identify, please join us for either or both. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Lewis, for sharing about your program. Our next program is University of Wisconsin. So if your representative would like to unmute and tell us all about your program.
Of course. I'm Dan Sklansky. I am the program director, and I'm a hospitalist, and did birth through MD all in Madison. So I know the city well, and then left for about 6 years for residency fellowship and work, and then eventually made my way back, as many of us do, and have been back for the last 12 years. So I'd like to start out by just thanking everyone who's in charge of this at Future Peds Res, and it's really good to see all of my fellow program directors who I'm sure I'll be seeing this fall and on video calls between now and then. And then really just to say that there is so much to say about all of our programs that there's no way that any of us can go through all of these details on the slide or on our website in, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes. So I think that I will let you do that on your own in terms of all these details. But what I really want to highlight is what all of the applicants should be looking for. And that is a place that wants to make a deep, genuine investment in you. And I think that should come in 2 forms. One of them is making residency challenging enough and engaging in that challenge that you end up emerging as excellent pediatricians, and that you can go into whatever field you want, whether it's primary care or it's something that's not primary care but also doesn't require a fellowship, or it's a subspecialty that requires fellowship training. And then the other part of the investment is that program, the leadership, the faculty should care deeply about your well-being. And I like to think that we do a very good job of that. And much like the other programs here, being medium-sized and in the Midwest, I think is a good setup for a family feel and deeply caring about one another. And I can't take credit for that culture in Madison. It existed long before me, and it's part of what brought me back. But I think that faculty having the face sheets of the 16 residents per class up on the wall and knowing your names and knowing something about your lives and what you want to do, where you came from, your significant other or pet or parents, it says a lot and it brings us together well. And it gives you a learning environment that can be challenging while having a lot of psychological safety, because you're encouraged to say what you think is going on with a patient and what you want to do. And if the attending disagrees with you, I kind of don't even want to say like if you're wrong, because there's usually not a right or wrong in medicine. But if we disagree with you, that isn't penalized. And that's the point, is to talk about it and challenge you, and you get to the next step and you maybe cover some gap in your knowledge or reasoning or experience, or you teach us something. And I think having that environment where people are deeply committed to the patient care and learning about medicine and your development and having that family feel allows you to learn. So one way that we frame that in our program is using a psychological theory that goes throughout, I don't know, mostly K through college and business worlds, but now more in medical education, something called self-determination theory. And if you interview at our program, you'll hear more about this because I'll talk about it in much more depth. But basically it says that if we support your autonomy, your competence, and your interrelatedness with everyone around you, that you will have much better outcomes across the board, including retention, overall knowledge, creativity, mood, energy, and productivity. And that's what we're aiming for. So that's a preview of what you would hear about. I think another feature of our program is a focus on continuity. And part of that is in clinic. And now I feel like we're the only program around that is not doing X plus Y scheduling. And now that'll be the cool thing. We'll be like, we didn't do it. But we actually take a lot of pride in our system, and we could have changed it, but I think we lose a great advantage of going out in the community at a regular site that is actually not part of a large resident clinic with someone who's on the front lines of pediatrics day in and day out and really getting to see how that life works. And I'll talk about that much more in the interview day too. But you have that preceptor for all 3 years, and it's a home away from home that you'll see every week or almost every week. We also have continuity just in that medium sizedness, and you'll get to know a lot of the attendings. And then lastly, you have continuity in a new program that we have made over the last 3 years called the Core Mentor Program. And you will have a mentor who stays with you over the course of all 3 years of residency. And then I heard that I'm getting played off. So I will end with Madison is voted the most livable city in the country for the last 2 years. And maybe it'll be for the 3rd year. And it's a wonderful place to be for in all walks of life. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Skolansky. Now our next program is going to be Wright State University. If your representative would like to unmute and tell us about your program.
Hi, I'm Wendy Sensing. I'm one of the associate program directors. And I am here with one of my amazing chief residents, Emma. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about our program and Dayton in general, which is usually one that people cannot find on the map. So we will tell you where it is and what you can do here. One of the things that is probably the biggest question that we get is, how are you an integrated program and what are you doing with the military? And so half of our residents do come from the military and half are civilian, which I did not come from a military background, so it was very new lingo for me and coming into this program. But one of the really cool things that I think is on a daily basis, you have no clue who is a civilian and who is a military resident. Until you're on base and seeing them in actual fatigues, you're like, oh, that's what you're doing. But one of the things that I think that brings to our program is that we graduate residents who we should be able to send to anywhere in the world and work by themselves in a clinic and run it well and be the best pediatrician that they can be. And so even if you are a civilian resident graduating from our program, that's kind of where we expect you to graduate at. And I think that that's just something that's really unique. Not only that, but you get to meet people from all over the world from really different backgrounds because of that. One of the things that we really love about our program is the multiple levels of our longitudinal curriculum. Anything from our DEI curriculum to our quality improvement and our upcoming behavioral and mental health. We have been able to publish some of these things, and it's really been exciting for us to be able to develop these curriculums throughout the years. One of the things with our diversity initiatives is that we started with an 18-month curriculum and realized that many people graduating from residencies were already pretty much up to date and past anything that we were doing from a curriculum basis. So we decided to go hands-on with our hospital-wide DEI committees. And those are things such as simulation with health equity backgrounds, as well as storytelling sessions. And every single one of our presentations hospital-wide has to have a health equity component to it. So we said that this should not be something that we're just learning once a month for an hour. This is something that should be in every single presentation and every single thing that you are learning at our hospital. We still do block scheduling, and we have listened to our residents throughout the years and has changed to a full day clinic. because we believed, and our data has showed that actually shows more continuity for our current system. So we have stuck with that. We do have an absolutely amazing parental leave or family leave rotation for us, which I think our residents really appreciate and hold on to. I'll let Emma tell us a little bit about, you know, our general area and what our residents like to do.
Hey guys, Emma here. So as a chief resident and just finishing residency myself, I can speak on a lot of the stuff in regards to what we do together. We also have a wellness committee, like a lot of other programs, but every Wednesday, after our academic half day, we like post in our group me, we plan events, we have like bachelorette nights ins where we go to someone's house or we go to a brewery for trivia. We always have scheduled events on Wednesdays that we get together on top of like our book clubs or any activities like that. Dayton is actually, so it's one of the most affordable cities to live in, but it has the big city feels as well, where we have Broadway series that come through here. My husband and I just got season tickets, and there's like a group of us from our residency where we all go and get dinner beforehand and then go to the theater together, just to really kind of promote that wellness, as well as metro parks. We do bike tours together. And then there's concerts in the parks, hot yoga, Orange Theory, all the things that we kind of just do together as residents, which is a lot of fun. Speaking onto some of like the interprofessional relationships that I know someone mentioned in our chat, with all of our subspecialists, like as a resident, you work one-on-one with those subspecialists. We have all their phone numbers, and they even say like when you go beyond, because we do have so many residents who go to like Japan and those things where you can use them as a resource. So they care so much about teaching and our residents moving forward and just kids in general, so that we know that we always have great access to all of our subspecialists moving forward, and just great teachers throughout our residency program.
All right, well, thank you so much to both of you. That concludes, whoops, forgot to. All right, there we go. Turn that off. That concludes the program overview portion of the evening. Now we will open up the floor for Q&A. You can either put your questions in the chat or directly message me if you would like to remain anonymous. And we also request our panel list to try and answer as many questions in the chat box, which you all have been doing a fantastic job on. So let me open up the chat, and I think we've got some really good questions that have been answered. But I think we have one answer. If anyone wants to like give their or speak more about this question, what specifically do residents do with advocacy work?
So I think at minimum, any resident, you know, is doing a rotation and learning the basics of what it is to be an advocate for the career that they're going into. And I think you can't really force anybody to be an advocate, because you're either are or you aren't. And so I think the people that are interested in it, I don't want to speak for the other programs, but I think that there are those people there that can be that mentor for you, that can develop you into the advocate that you want to be, whether it's at the local level, whether it's at the state level. Most programs have that kind of integrated within them. I don't think that there's necessarily that would be more than the other, but I think that it's your own internal advocate side of you, that if you want to do it, there's somebody there that's going to support you to the end.
Yeah, I would agree. I know Dr. Vanderkoy put some information in the chat, but we're very lucky at Western Michigan University that our medical school is super invested in the Kalamazoo community. And one of our main values and missions is health equity in the Southwest Michigan area. So we have a lot of ties to community-based organizations, and residents and students choose to get involved in various projects. And also develop those connections with the help of mentorship and leadership from the program level. And I kind of echo what's been going on in the chat. You know, we have some formal curriculum, but then some dedicated time that you can take if that's a particular passion for you.
I think a couple of highlights at Mayo. Every year we go to the state capitol for Peds Day at the Capitol, and so residents learn how to lobby, and that's a great networking event. Then there's that opportunity again to individualize. So some residents, we've had a resident in the recent past do a catch grant, and she was able to do a pretty impressive project with an alternative learning center in Rochester. And then we just partnered with Arizona State University to do our first year of a health equity certificate, which was, I think, a great opportunity for our residents to have a new lens of thinking about advocacy.
Thank you so much, everybody, for answering that question. I see another question in the chat, which is usually a recurring theme that we see in most of our webinars, but it is, what are you looking for in an applicant? Like, what makes you choose one resident over the other or one applicant over the other?
I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
Siobhan, go ahead. Before you fall asleep, go for it.
I'm doing really well. You see, this is interesting. I'm with my people, so it's actually very easy to stay awake. I think I probably answer this the same way every time. To me, the most important part of any resident is curiosity. And I think curiosity just is, it's not a simple term. We need to, not just for residency, for our entire careers. I'm a pediatric endocrinologist, and by maintaining my curiosity with every single patient encounter, well, then every single child I see with obesity or with diabetes, I am curious about, I want to help, I'm interested in, and it keeps me fresh and it keeps me engaged. And I really strongly believe that it is the biggest thing that we can do to beat burnout. So we're looking for people who are interested and obviously enthusiastic and curious and want to take great care of patients, want to take great care of children, our people. I mean, pediatrics is just the best ever. So staying curious about all aspects, learning from every single rotation, whether that's something that you see yourself in forever or not. That I think is what we're looking for.
I think we
So
can
I
all
always say the
ditto.
exact same thing
Yeah.
that Siobhan says, except I explain it as like the residents who are little sponges and soak up everything that they can from every clinical encounter and from every journal article that they read. But yeah, just really keen learners. I think make great pediatricians lifelong.
Yeah, I think like as you go through the application process, it's keeping in mind that there's not like one thing that's going to be a defining feature, like that really, especially in pediatrics, we are really looking at the whole person. We've invested a lot of time as a community in thinking about what that definition of holistic review means, like really putting it into practice and not just using it as a buzzword, taking time to think about how people might be good fits for our program. And I think that a lot of applicants sort of get concerned about like, how can I be what you want me to be? And I think really the answer is all we want is for you to be who you are. And taking this whole time and reflecting, and the more that you can figure out who you are, the better you're gonna find the right fit for you. And that's really what we want the most. Like the most successful learners are the most reflective and introspective and ready to partner. But none of us, I think, will say like there's this one thing or even 2 or 3 specific things that we're looking for. We're just looking for who's going to fit into the puzzle that is each of our programs.
Great, thank you so much. And I believe we have time for one more question. And so with interviews continuing to be virtual this year, what is the best way for applicants to gauge the culture of the program through Zoom?
Dan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, we could tell you anything. So you should probably talk to the residents. And I mean, I'm sure we all have opportunities to talk to residents when program leadership isn't around. And some of that might be in the interstitial spaces between the, I don't know, faculty interviews, and there might be some hanging out with chiefs who have, I don't know, who are either third-year residents or who have just graduated, and with residents popping in, or some sort of lunch or dinner. And I think that, I mean, via Zoom, talking to them helps, but then also talking to them offline. And I mean, I think I could probably speak for all of us that you can cold call, cold email any resident, and they're probably going to be proud to tell you about their program. And I, of course, if you do that with a chief, they will probably hook you up too. So anyway, that's what I would recommend. Because otherwise, I don't know. I guess I don't think that the people with the best graphics in their website or best social media feed or best resources for doing all that stuff or best public speaker should sway you too much. I think you should talk to the residents.
And if there's people from your school that either are residents at that program or did rotations at the program, talk to them and see, because you went to the same medical school, so you might have sort of had some of the similar values going through med school, or know what your rotation experiences were and how they compare to those. But I agree, opportunities to talk to the people that are like in the thick of it. I know that there's this whole fear that maybe because you're on Zoom or Teams or whatever, that you're like missing out on this whole sense of what happened in person. But I don't think any of us are convinced, that when you were necessarily in person and sitting in one conference room and just being pulled out for faculty interviews and taking a tour, they're all like, there's colored walls and they have animals and fish and, all of that stuff. So I don't think worry so much about what you're missing, and think about all the ways that you can, get information. And part of that also is making sure that you're asking like really questions that are important to you when you're meeting both the residents and the faculty and program leadership team.
I think that it might be more important to know what the city feels like in terms of that, in-person part. Because yes, like Joanna said, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I don't know, most of us have nice hospitals with like all those amenities. And so, I mean, culturally, you'll probably learn much more from talking to the residents than you would from just physically being at the hospital. But I think going to the city makes a lot of sense. And talking to also people at your, I don't know, your home program attendings who may be trained at the place that you're looking at, and vice versa, where you have some connections. And then I think the last thing I'll say is that I think the one maybe exception to just even being in the physical space of the hospital and making sure that it's okay for you is if you are from an underrepresented group in medicine or have a disability that you might feel uncomfortable in certain places, and you really want to get a feel of like, do I feel safe here? Like just getting in the elevator, do I feel like, I don't know, people are saying hi to me in a reasonable way, and like that kind of thing. I think that's something you just can't get on Zoom. And like, I think for that, like you probably should go and check out the places that you really like. And this year we are going to do more. I mean, I know most programs are going to have some version of a second look or kind of like group visit option. And I think those are ones that I think I would do.
Well, thank you so much for that. I believe we're going to be going back to the main room and wrapping everything up.
So hi, welcome to room 2. I'm Victoria Morrell, as I mentioned before. I'm a 4th-year medical student at Chicago Medical School, Rosalind Franklin. And so I will be the moderator this evening. And then I'd also like to introduce our other associate director working hard behind the scenes, recording and flipping the slides, Ria. If you want to introduce yourself really quick, Ria.
Good evening, everyone. Ria Peralta, 4th-year medical student at Nova Southeastern University. Excited for you all to be here.
Thanks, Ria. And then I'll just make sure that we're recording and all set to go. So we're going to have every program representative. You can come up and give a short presentation. I'll have a 5-minute timer that you should be able to see on your screen, and it'll make a cute little noise when the 5 minutes is up, so you guys will know exactly your timing for your presentation. And then attendees, you're welcome to put in questions in the chat. We will do a live Q&A in this breakout room, and they'll do one in the first breakout room as well once all of our presentations have happened. happened. And then, like we mentioned before, we encourage programs to answer any chats that relate to their program or any general questions that they feel like answering. And again, to ensure that all programs are adequately represented, we'll limit each presentation to 5 minutes. So when the timer goes off, you just wrap up and finish your presentation. So our first program tonight is University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. So if your representative would like to unmute, and I will start the timer now.
That's great. Thank you, Victoria. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bhavna Kandakatu. I'm the program director here at the University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. With me, I have our awesome team, Dr. Trevor Swanson. Trevor, if you want to wave, and Dr. Carly Wooden. Trevor is a PGY2, Carly is a PGY3, and our awesome coordinator, Tammy Livingston. Tammy, if you want to wave. I think Carly is off my screen right now, so I can't see her at the moment, but you'll all see her in a second. So I'll go ahead and get us started by discussing some of our program highlights. Our program is a perfect blend of various experiences, urban, suburban, rural, population, and experiences. You'll get to see bread and butter pediatrics, rare cases, and all the zebras in between. And I speak from experience having trained here myself. You also have a lot of unique experiences such as quality improvement, patient safety curricula. There's a clinical educators track, lots of advocacy and research work. We have a leadership member dedicated to teaching DEI, health equity series, board review, etc. We do sponsor H-1B and J-1 visas. Our hospital is a 136-bed full-service children's hospital. That serves more than half of Illinois. So we serve over 60 counties, and in this capacity, we're able to provide care to over 500,000 children every year. As you can see, we have a ton of inpatient admissions, lots of deliveries that happen here, and we are the referral center for many, many children across the state. You will have a huge ton of electives to choose from the elective catalog as well. We're a very close-knit family, and it is truly a great place to train for your residency. I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Swanson to discuss curriculum.
Thanks, Dr. Kanakatu. So our curriculum, we have the X+Y, so we do 3 weeks of inpatient rotations or an elective, and then 1 week of our outpatient weeks. It's nice because our noon conference lectures during your regular blocks are kind of focused more on inpatient, and then during your Y block, you have a separate outpatient education as well. So you kind of have 2 education tracks going at the same time. You can individualize your curriculum as much as you want, which I think is probably one of my favorite parts. We have so many subspecialties and options, whether you want to focus more outpatient and primary care, or whether you want to subspecialize, we have options for going in either direction there. And then I think another unique part about our program is our hospital is attached to a simulation center called the Jump Simulation Center. We have a robust simulation curriculum and training there, which is really nice. That's partnered with the University of Illinois. And then a couple of extra things is we do all residents go through the residents as teachers curriculum, which is great because it teaches you how to be a good teacher and mentor, which is another part of our job as well as just learning medicine. And we all get an academic title through the University of Illinois as well. I'm going to pass it along to Carly now for resident wellness.
Yeah, quick couple of things about being in Peoria that make it super great. So at our hospital, we get 24/7 free food from the cafeteria, a couple different places to grab food from in the hospital. Makes it where you never have to worry about what you're bringing for lunch. Other great benefits we've got a parking deck attached right to the hospital that we get to park at. About once a month, we get wellness conferences. So instead of learning during that noontime, like Trevor was talking about, we get to just hang out and get to enjoy each other. Also have counseling there, as well as just like retreats and other things that we can do together to just be together and not have to work necessarily. I'm going to pop it back to you, Trevor, for diversity.
So our diversity stuff is pretty robust as well. We have a whole curriculum, speakers, as well as we have a scholarship for rotating students as well. Our famous DEI summer potluck is probably a favorite. And I think we're running low on time. my big thing there is we have a great diverse faculty and staff that are great to work with. And then I'm sending it back over to Carly for a little bit about Peoria.
Yeah, last little bit. So we're in Central Illinois, Peoria, about 3 hours from St. Louis, Indy, and Chicago. So if you don't want to spend the weekend in Peoria, which is a great city, you're just 3 hours away. Peoria does have, though, Division I basketball, minor league sports, as well as just tons of good restaurants. Big park district. We have an airport. So a bunch of great amenities in a small, affordable town, but having those big resources as well. So I think that brings it to an end, but thank you guys.
Perfect timing. Thank you guys so much for telling us about your wonderful program. We'll give a second before I introduce the next program, just in case people are jumping between breakout rooms. But our next presenters, I think Dr. Nelson is here to talk about Advocate Children's Hospital in Oak Lawn. So you can go ahead and I'll start the timer.
Thank you so much, and good evening to everyone. I'm also here with Kathy Brady. She's one of our fourth-year chief residents who is able to answer questions and help out if I miss anything. So I'm the program director at Advocate Children's Hospital in Oak Lawn. We are located really just outside of Chicago, Southwest, one of the first couple of Southwest suburbs, and we treat a really diverse patient population from that area, from Central Illinois, from Northwest Indiana. We are a freestanding children's hospital and offer level 4 NICU. We have ECMO services, cardiovascular surgery that's ranked in the top 5% of the United States and Canada. From the hospital standpoint, we are a busy, as I said, freestanding children's hospital, 45 private inpatient rooms, 61 private NICU rooms, 24-bed NICU, 16-bed PC ICU, and a 22-bed pediatric emergency department. We have fellowships in both pediatric cardiology and pediatric hospitalist medicine. Also, clinically, you'll have the opportunity to go out on our care mobile, which offers free primary care to underserved children, as well as healthy steps in your own clinics. Curriculum-wise, we have what we call a modified immersion block. So the X+Y is something I know has been popular. We continue on with a four-week block system. However, work to make sure that that inpatient and outpatient experiences are left to those areas that you're studying on a standard basis. Meaning, if you're on inpatient rotations, you will be focusing on inpatient, and outpatient rotations is when you'll do a lot of your continuity clinic experiences that are separated, and put throughout your year. All of your experiences can be done on campus with us, so there's no need to be traveling anywhere. If you are interested in traveling, there are certainly options for offsite experiences. We work a lot with teaching and residence as teachers curriculum. In your second year, you will be acting as a full senior resident, be a senior on the floors, acting in that capacity as well in the ICUs. And we have two teaching blocks that occur in your third year. We really focus and have a really robust diversity and inclusion program that's well supported by our institution. We have work, a lot with affinity groups and culturally effective healthcare. There is twice a year we do what we call a Tell Your Story event, where we ask members from various backgrounds or ethnicities or otherwise to kind of talk about their experiences so we can all have a good understanding of each other. Lastly, I'll just mention about wellness. Really, resident wellness is a priority for us. We have you'll be able to get wellness half days to help you get to appointments or other things that might be needed. Everyone gets an annual meal stipend. There's free parking. We have a mid-year self-care block where everyone gets 5 days off in the middle of the year around the winter holidays. And several call-free blocks and a lot of flexibility when it comes to a curriculum and your own schedule and your day-to-day time off as needed. I think that's about it. I think I'm coming up on time, but I'm just thanks again for being here, and I'm happy to meet everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nelson, for telling us about your program. So next up, we have Cleveland Clinic Children's. I think I saw Dr. Kwan. You can go ahead. I will start the timer, and you can present.
Hi, good evening. There's quite a podium, it's a lot of pressure. All right, I'm Charles Kwan. I'm the program director for Cleveland Clinic Children's. I'm a pediatric nephrologist, and I've been program director here for 11 years. Cleveland Clinic Children's, our program, I think I summarize it best by saying that we are a combination of a truly full-service children's hospital. There's no level of acuity or complexity that our child could need that we cannot support. We truly do have full tertiary and quaternary services. We are represented in all divisions. Our smallest division has 3 faculty. From a resident level, what this means is that I feel very confident in saying that our residents can pursue any type of professional pathway from our program. This means all types of fellowships and do very well. Over 80% of our residents match into one of their top 3 fellowship choices from our program. But we also have many residents who engage in community pediatrics, both urban and rural settings, and feel very well equipped coming from our program. But amid all of that clinical opportunity, we are very much a medium-sized program that is core to our identity. And for me, medium-sized means community. I tell students all the time, in our program, you can't hide. People will get to know you and you will get to know your peers. And you have to view that as an asset because that's how we view it. Community for us doesn't mean sameness. We have a very diverse program, people from different backgrounds, different journeys to enter medicine. And that's very intentional because we want that diversity to create a very unique kind of unity within our program. For our program itself, as you see, our numbers are incredibly high. How things work for us is that in Northeast Ohio, we are a very regional type of practice. We have a very significant main campus, which is the core of our residency, but we have a very significant regional presence. Our regional presence is largely not staffed by our residents. It allows us a lot of flexibility to allow the very high acuity, high complexity care at main campus, but also access the more community and regional resources within our healthcare system to provide a diverse set of clinical opportunities for our residents. As I said, we are a very rigorous program. I'm very clear about that. From our program, my graduates always tell me no matter what they go for fellowship, they are incredibly well prepared. But amid the rigor of our program, we put a tremendous emphasis on wellness to balance the difficulty of the clinical work that they do. And our wellness is truly resident driven. Some of the efforts that we've created recently, we are an X+Y program. And the X+Y is actually driven by some of our rising chiefs. They had heard about the X+Y curriculum from another conference and said, let's do it, let's try it. And I said, if you want to create the schedule, let's do it. And we did it. And from there, we've grown to add other additional wellness efforts. From my perspective, my goal for wellness is to create a work environment that supports wellness in the best way possible. So that includes the RX+Y, which is a 4+2 model for us. We are a full night float schedule. And this was made efforts, I will say it took us about 3 years to get to this point, but all of our inpatient rotations are now on night float. So we don't run 24-hour call. And this has, again, been a significant wellness effort in all areas, including our floors and all of our ICUs. We do have an administrative half day during our ambulatory weeks to provide flexibility for their individualized curriculum or just to go and see the dentist. So these are my efforts. We all have a very rigorous wellness curriculum that's driven by our residents, and these more go towards creating an environment that supports our wellness. Our float senior is responsible for creating a wellness week during every block on the inpatient setting. We have a quarterly Quan Fest, which I did not name, but I fully support. That is an effort. It's just a kind of a variable celebration that happens every quarter that's largely driven by our residents. And we certainly have resources to support their wellness. But again, for us, it's really for residents to define wellness efforts on their own. 1 minute. Cleveland itself is really a hidden gem in the Midwest if you don't know Cleveland. It is very much a small, big city. We have 3 professional sports teams. We have a thriving food culture here. We have the 2nd largest theater district in the United States, a significant metro park system here. It's really a wonderful place to live. Many of our residents buy homes during their residency here, and traffic is a joke. So my favorite word for Cleveland is accessible. You have wonderful opportunities that you can afford and access here. And the last piece I'd like to add is for myself, again, I've been doing this for 11 years and continue to go strong. And for me, what keeps me in this role is that for me, residency is of course about learning about pediatrics, learning how to take care of children, but it is truly about professional development. This is a really unique journey that all of our residents undergo that really teaches how to become physicians, professionals, and how to grow as people. And for me to have some impact on their professional development journey is a tremendous reward. And that's truly what I value in this job.
Perfect timing. Thank you so much for talking about your program. We'll give a few seconds to see if anyone trickles in, but our next presentation will be Mercy Health St. Vincent's pediatric residency program. So I think I saw Dr. Amer in the audience if you want to unmute, and I will start the timer.
Thank you. So we are actually not a medium-sized program. We're actually a smaller program. However, we're unable to meet the smaller webinars. So we're here today. So we appreciate you guys letting us join. We are a mixed program of urban and suburban. We only have 4 residents per year. And so as such, we're a family. There are no fellows, so you get direct contact with the attendings. Most of the rotations are done through Nationwide Children's Hospital in Toledo. And our residents do 1 rotation at Nationwide Children's in Columbus. We have a lot of different subspecialty electives. We have a state-of-the-art simulation center available as well. We do regularly have students from St. George. We also have students from Heritage as well. And so the residents get plenty of time to practice their teaching and teach other students. There's also a PA school and frequently nurse practitioner students in the area as well. Our program does prefer a J1 visa if you require a visa, but H1Bs may be accepted for exceptional candidates. As far as our curriculum, we do have 13 blocks per year. We're not a covering service, so there's no backup call or jeopardy. The residents do cross-cover on an inpatient service, whether it is inpatient floor or PICU when they're on the weekends on electives. We do have a couple unique blocks. We have our advocacy elective, parenting elective, and a board review elective that is specific for our 3rd years. Our didactics are half-day blocks. And we have simulations during our regular didactic time, but we also have dedicated time once a month for those on elective to get some extra time in simulations. For resident wellness, we do have resident wellness days. Their next one is coming up this Wednesday, actually. It's the 5th Wednesday of the month. So it happens 4 times per year where they're given a stipend and they can do an activity together for wellness rather than didactics. The residents are also provided with Spring Health, which helps to provide the mental health needs. There's a resident lounge. There is a relocation allowance as well as a $2,000 annual meal allowance that's just added onto your salary, as well as an educational sign-on bonus each year. Free parking is available, and then they really work in our institution to provide other amenities the residents may need. So there's a meditation room with all major religious texts in it. There's a lactation room. We try to work on focusing on wellness throughout the year. So we have a rotating curriculum on wellness, but also including DEI and leadership that the residents will get lectures on throughout the year. In our area, it is a short drive to an international airport, which is excellent. Low cost of living, excellent metro parks. The zoo is amazing if you've never been there. Local farms and orchards, you can go and pick your own apples. You can go pick your pumpkins, get some fresh donuts while you're at it. We are a short drive to several major cities in case you do like to go and do some of the big city activities, and also a short drive to Ann Arbor if you like the college feel and want to go pick up a University of Michigan game. Overall, the residents, a lot of them do live in condos or apartments nearby. Some of them do buy houses. But it's a short drive where the residents frequently live in Perrysburg. It's a short drive to the hospital. And of course, we are driving distance to Cedar Point, which all the residents are looking forward to. They have a wellness day coming up in a couple weeks where we gave them all a weekend off together to go to Cedar Point. So they are looking forward to doing that. So that, I believe, is about all of our program. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing all about your program. So we will continue on with our next presentation, which is going to be the University of Iowa. Dr. Colburn, I think I saw you in the audience, so I will start the timer and you can go ahead and start presenting.
Thanks, everybody. My name is Mike Colburn. I am the PD of the U Iowa program. I have some friends in the audience. Amy Steer is our associate program director and recent past program director, as well as one of our fabulous fourth-year chiefs, Irene, who I will throw to in a little bit to give you a little feel on how the program functions towards the betterment of everybody. Now, I have a little bit of stuff. I might go a little bit off script because I want to give you some updated information about the program. So we are that mix of the urban, suburban, and rural programs. We are nearly a freestanding children's hospital. Our pediatric ED is integrated into our mothership, but with renovations, we are adding a 12 additional dedicated unit starting in December. We are a tier 1 research institution in the Big Ten Academic Alliance, so we prioritize research exposure for our learners while they are under our wing, as well as a member of the National Children's Oncology Group. We are the only level 4 NICU and level 1 trauma center in Iowa, so we are a major catchment center for every kid that is kind of in our region. So a lot of exposure. We have great diversity, and Iowa City is a Big Ten city with a lot of pull from all over the world. With that being said, you might have heard of something called the Wave, which is getting a little outdated, but if you think of your football, but more importantly, let's actually talk about what we're really known for, Caitlin Clark, right? So just kind of keeping that on the radar. We have some fun ways that the residents will engage each other. So we have some good traditions. We have, after our academic half days, which occur every block, time that they are able to spend away with each other at socials, at local venues. We have monthly sponsored resident events, anywhere from tailgating, cycling to season-inspired activities. We have our end of the year senior as well as faculty roast, where everybody gets to flex their acting skills and have a good time. And we're trying one new this year for our kind of winter gathering, what we're going to call a faculty house crawl. So more to stay tuned, but become part of the fun, and we'll show you what's going on. Our curriculum, we are modifying our curriculum for the traditional 13 blocks. We are a proponent of flexibility within our curriculum, and we feel like that also could be within rotation. So we are working towards giving residents the abilities to opt in for 2 or 4 week rotations. So sometimes 4 weeks of PICU is too long for somebody, and sometimes it's not enough. So allowing you to be able to break that around and kind of match your needs. We are working towards kind of figuring out what is the ideal approach for resident continuity clinic. We use some satellite clinics, and we know fundamentally it might be good for you to be in that place for the day and decrease your travel between the mothership, and looking at how we do that within an inpatient rotation as well as outpatient rotations. So kind of making sure that we can prioritize your Gen Peds experience all the time, regardless of what rotation you are on. There is several ways to do custom electives, both away as well as global exposure. We have a PSTP as well as a STAR program. We have longitudinal advocacy as well as advocacy days to help kind of foster our sense of community and working towards it. We have protected, dedicated education time that occurs each and every day as well as the other ones that I talked about, and we're doing pretty well. I think one thing that I want to highlight before I pass it on to Irene is we, through the GME, have a psychologist for easy access to kind of get mental health support, which is a new addition that we've added to the program. And we're really trying to allow you to flex your time. So looking at what does time away mean from the program, and that conference that you're presenting is probably a work day, right? But making sure you get the dedicated learning that you need. Irene, if you give us a little bit about what you love about the program and why did you stay on as chief, I'd appreciate that.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'll try to make it quick. So my name's Irene. I'm one of the chief residents. And I have actually lived in Iowa most, if not almost all of my life. I'm someone who really loves Iowa. It's super fun. It's family friendly in Iowa City, but it's also a Big Ten university town. So you're going to get that Big Ten university town feel if that's what you are looking for. There's plenty of things to do on the weekends. We do have a very rigorous program, but it is also worth it because everyone is really close, and everything that we do is really customizable, like Dr. Colburn said. So that's something that we're pushing for, and we hope that you all look into giving us a chance.
Thank you so much for telling us about you guys' wonderful program. So we have one more presentation, and that is going to be for Corewell Health, Helen DeVos Children's Hospital, Michigan State. I think I saw Dr. Thomas in the audience, so you can go ahead and unmute, and I will start your timer.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for joining tonight. Thanks for having me tonight. We definitely have a very long name. Our health system is Corewell Health, and we're part of the west part of that. And our hospital is Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. We're also affiliated with Michigan State University. So when you're looking through ERAS and you're looking to apply, you kind of have to search that whole long name. We have 20 categorical peds residents per year, and then we also have a child neurology program that takes 2 residents per year for the first 2 years of their training before they move on to the adult world. We are in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which if you're from Michigan, everyone uses their hand. We're on the west side here, and pretty much all of West Michigan, from the UP down to like the Indiana border, comes to us. So we're a big referral center. Level 1 trauma unit, level 4 NICU, so highest level for both. We have our NICU has over 150 beds. U.S. residents are not responsible for all 150 beds. You get to cherry pick kind of the high acuity patients and learn from them. We also have a 12-bed cardiac ICU as well as a 24-bed regular ICU that are only expanding. We just that 241 pediatric beds, I think, is a little outdated. We just opened up a, I believe, 11-bed behavioral health medical med psych unit in our hospital. So that renovation just finished, and I think as of last month that opened up. It's pretty busy. We have a peds emergency department in the basement and surgical center right in the building as well. You know, I'm newer to the program director role as of the last 29 days. I am a peds nephrologist, so Dr. Kwan, great to see you. I was, before program director, was one of the associate program directors, and before that was actually a resident and chief resident at DeVos. So I have a long pedigree with the hospital and really enjoy being in Grand Rapids. We have the 2 coordinators listed. We just hired a 3rd coordinator, and we're kind of in the midst of kind of a reshuffle with our leadership program. There's myself as program director, and we're currently have offers out for an additional 3 associate program directors. So there'll be some newer faces come recruitment season. Curriculum wise, we do block scheduling. So 4-week schedules, 13 electives or 13 rotations per year. We have Sims as part of our didactic sessions. We do Thursday half-day academic half-days where we have, you know, a 18-month rolling curriculum where you go through your board content specs. A part of that are also mock codes and such, and we also give you guys, you know, a half-day every month or 2 for your own wellness. And with that, you know, we only expect you guys to be there 80% of the time between your morning conferences and that Thursday afternoon. So 20% of the time is for you to do life things. We have different tracks. So we have a culinary medicine track, we have a lifestyle medicine track, global health, advocacy, QI. We also kind of tailor our rotations based off your career interests. So if you're looking into critical care, you'll have a slightly different build to your schedule than if you're going into PCP. Same with if you're doing a subspecialty and such. Wellness wise, so we do have a resident lounge. We have competitive salaries. There's meal stipends, free parking, other things that I forgot to put on this because when we were looking at the deadline, I was just figuring out how to become a program director. So missed a couple of other things to put on here, but we have resident houses. So all of our residents are quote unquote sorted into different houses and then given a wellness stipend to do with whatever they want. We have a pub club that meets usually once a month where the residents meet up at one of the local breweries. Grand Rapids is huge for beer and other good food and that kind of stuff, and they meet up and they sometimes talk about an article and sometimes talk about the attendings. Just another way that we try to support the residents there. Again, location, we're in West Michigan. If you haven't been to Lake Michigan, it looks like the ocean. The beaches are beautiful. You cannot see the other side of the lake. Can't see our friends over in Chicago or in Wisconsin. So it's only 35 minutes at most to get to the beach from downtown Grand Rapids. A lot of our residents either buy houses, buy condos, rent anywhere. You can get to anywhere within 15 minutes in Grand Rapids. And there's a hospital, or sorry, obviously a hospital, but there's an airport that's only about 20 minutes from downtown Grand Rapids that flies internationally as well. We've got a couple minor league hockey or baseball, hockey, basketball, volleyball teams. So plenty of things to do when you're not at the hospital.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, and all the program directors and residents who are here and presented and talked about all your programs. We are now going to transition into our Q&A. I've been looking at the chat, and it looks like a lot of questions have been answered by program directors and people in the audience, which we appreciate. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to start with like a more general question, and attendees are more than welcome to continue to add questions to the chat. But anyone can unmute and answer. The first question that I'm going to have is how can an applicant stand out on their application? What are some of the top qualities programs look out for, or interesting or things that program directors, you guys are really looking out for in an applicant?
Did you want us to raise hands? Otherwise, I can kick this off.
Oh, go ahead. Anyone can just unmute and jump in.
Perfect. This is Colburn again from Iowa. I think fundamentally, I've been doing this for a long time, even though PD is new for me. I've been, once again, a true blue-born person here. What I really look for when I'm kind of examining your portfolios, and you will do an awesome job putting together your dossiers, is I really love to see how your narrative ties throughout stuff, right? Like I want to see your journey and what your passions are and your spark is. And I want to see how you emphasize that with the activities that you've done. What was the meaning behind the things that you have done? Because I am looking for people to become awesome colleagues, right? And we don't always do stuff that we love, but what was the learning from it and how did that shape you? So I like to look for that overall theme when I'm looking through the opportunities, experiences that you've had, because that really shows me where you're going in life and not necessarily what you've done. So I think that's kind of my summary.
I think another thing that we would look for in our program is passion. So a lot of people will sometimes kind of give the answer that they think that we want to hear, but I want to see the spark in you. I want to see that passion, and I want to see not even just in medicine, but I want to see a real person and make those connections. So that's what we look for.
Hey guys, it's Jason from DeVos. I want to echo everything that's been said. The biggest thing for us is we want well-rounded people, right? Like you guys have worked so hard, and you're finally at the point where you're going to be physicians and working in a hospital, and it's really exciting. But the hospital is not your whole life, and we want to make sure that we can support you on the outside of the hospital as well, and have that well-rounded individual, because that's the only way that you can actually give your best at the hospital, is if you have time to recoup and do things outside of work as well.
All right, so next question that we have, any recommendations on how to effectively highlight our interest in your program as someone without connections to the area?
I can take a crack at this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the ways is to go ahead and use the signaling tool and go ahead and signal the program. I know for peds you get 5 signals per for pediatrics per se, but signaling and definitely following up with an email if you're interested. But I would also recommend maybe sending one email, but not sending weekly emails, because that can get a little bit too much at times, because as you can imagine, there's a huge influx of emails coming. So those are the 2 things that I can think of.
I think the
I'll
email
just
definitely is helpful. Sorry. Email is helpful. We definitely look at every single applicant who sends an email to our program. We review it in depth, and sometimes that will make the difference between someone who maybe we didn't think was as interested in our area and someone who we decide to interview. So the email is helpful, but again, echoing one email is good. Don't keep sending them.
I was just going to add that the signaling process has been very helpful. We've certainly found, identified interest in people who we otherwise wouldn't have been able to identify. In addition, just geographically, those we certainly pay attention to the areas that as you can pick. I think it's 3 areas of in geographic interest. We certainly pay attention to that as well. Email, yeah, we will take a look if an email, but the majority of the time we identify by those two ways.
Thank you so much for everyone who chimed in and answer. So given that the recommendation this year is to hold the interviews virtually, how do you think for applicants the best way to gauge the culture of a program, given that most likely they'll all be Zoom interviews?
I can take this one, as I was in the first round of people who were virtually interviewing. I'm Kathy. I'm one of the chiefs at Christ or Advocate Children's in Oak Lawn. I felt like I noticed a lot, in the breakout rooms with residents, how they communicated with each other was really telling. There was a handful of breakout rooms I went into where maybe residents didn't realize someone else in the room was another resident and things like that. And I thought that was really telling of the community. So just picking up on those things and seeing what the residents do together, and if it seems like they have honest and genuine answers for those types of questions.
I will say that I've been involved with this or with residency for longer than when COVID was a thing, and that was something that we were certainly concerned about, of how would we were very happy with our culture, and we felt that this was a strength of our program. And was this going to be something that with virtual interviews that we've been doing for several years now, is this something that we would be losing? And I'm very happy to report that I feel that we have been attracting and matching a similar group of people who have maintained our culture. And nailing down how that happens or why that happens, I'm sort of happy to maybe not know exactly, because it's we'd always thought that it was come and see us and come and see how how we interact, and you'll like it. But the last several classes, and Kathy included, have we've been very happy and found that our culture has been maintained and strengthened throughout these virtual interviews.
Yeah, this is Jason with DeVos. I think that it's super important to get that feel of how the residents work together and how the residents and attendings work together. And I think, every program does interviews a little bit differently. Some of them you'll be able to see how the residents and faculty interact with each other during the actual interview. Our program also offers Zoom happy hours, where it's you have basically a couple different nights that's offered where you Zoom in with other residents at the program, and then you basically just get to talk and see how the residents actually feel about the program and stuff. And I find that to be super helpful and an honest way of finding out about our program. Some programs are also offering second looks. So, we committed to, if we are offering a second look, it's going to be after our rank list has been made. So a second look is not going to impact your position on a rank list, but at least it gives you a little bit more of a feel for our city, for our program, and while you're making your rank list, hopefully it boosts us up. But those little interactions with, like, on the actual interview day when you get to see the residents with the attendings, I think tells a lot. If they're if they seem to know each other or seem to be like, oh, who's that guy? That those little cues are telling.
All right, so we have time for one more question before we head back over to the main room for closing remarks. So last question of the night. What opportunities do residents have in advocacy and community outreach?
So one of actually our new pilots that align with some of the curriculum changes that are coming from the ACGME is that advocacy remains required, but is no longer required as a rotation. So we're actually piloting a longitudinal advocacy curriculum for our residency. We actually have three different pilot groups in food insecurity, infant mortality, and gun violence, and asking residents to actually work together for longitudinal work, integrating on many different levels, whether it be their continuity clinic, partnering with local advocacy groups, and even on some legislative levels, working on these different projects. There's also longitudinal curriculum that we're integrating for these projects. Again, bringing in community leaders, other advocacy leaders within the Cleveland Clinic to support the residents in this effort. This is new for us, but we really want to take the opportunity to move beyond just a kind of a 4-week block for advocacy into a more impactful longitudinal way.
As a resident, I'd love to answer for my program. Obviously, there's the curriculum. We have a rotation. We have a longitudinal curriculum. I feel like most programs do. In Peoria, it's a small area, so there's lots of opportunities to pick and choose what you're passionate about to advocate for. So there's a lot of residents doing projects for improving LGBTQ curriculum or access. I had the opportunity to go down to the Illinois Senate and talk to some of our representatives about policies that would help our patients here. So I think that being in a medium-sized program, having all the access to all the mentors, and then being in a smaller area, well, a city, but it's not a huge city, you can advocate for your patients in a lot of different ways here as well.
Thank you so much for everyone who participated. And again, thank you so much for everyone who's answering questions in the chat. That's super helpful for us. So if everyone doesn't mind, we're going to go back into the main room. So I think you should be able to just leave this room and it'll take you back to the main room. Thank you again, everyone.
All right, we're getting room 1 to come and join us, and I am going to send it over to Victoria to wrap us up.
So hopefully everyone got the chance to learn more about the Midwest Medium programs from all of tonight's presentations. We want to repeat again how grateful and thankful we are for all the program directors, residents, coordinators, and everyone else who's been on the call and presented all your programs. We really just thank you again for being involved. And then attendees, thank you so much for also attending, and we hope you enjoyed the presentations and learned a little bit more.
All right, and in the chat, I am going to send the registration link. If you are interested in joining us for future webinars, we would have you click the link to register for future webinars. And then also we're going to send you a link to our post-webinar survey. If you have any feedback for us on how to make these webinars better for applicants or program directors from your side as well, if you have any feedback, we would love to hear it. And again, I would just like to echo Victoria and the rest of the FPR team and just say thank you guys so much for joining us. And we hope to see you at one of our upcoming webinars. All right, everybody, have a great night.